They're they're bringing you to these events so that they can make more money off of you when you sell products for them. They're trying to make you better so that you can sell more for them. And then they're charging you for the privilege. Oh my God.
All right, so we have another hot button topic today. Today is Friday. Today is Nick's podcast day. Today we're talking about the effed up things that marketing organizations can have and do that may affect you. Nick, how does today's topic sound for some good clickbait conversation?
I love it. Grab a screenshot of us, like kind of like, and then right, yeah, and then like, did your IMO do this to you, or your IMO did what?
Yeah, now this isn't necessarily you claiming victimhood because you didn't do the business correctly. Not what this video is about.
Nope.
This is not you excusing your poor performance because of some structural element of your organization. This just is simply plain effed up things that I've noticed have been done, marketed, advertised, claimed, and we're going to attempt to do this in a way that doesn't create a cease and desist letter
Yeah,
afterwards.
I was gonna say. I just realized, like, are we naming names? Because I don't think
No,
we can. We'll get sued.
we did years of not naming names and managed to avoid any letters, but I think we can do this in just generalized terms because I'm sure
Yeah.
there isn't just one organization that may have done this kind of stuff before
No,
or stuff plural.
these
So
things. Yeah, I mean the one organization that I'm thinking of off the top of my head is known for being litigious. So let's be very careful.
yeah, now there's nothing wrong with having a good lawyer on staff. There's nothing wrong with
Nope.
when you're wronged taking it up in civil court. But let's just say in a mirror universe, such a universe exists that is not this reality. This is not January 26th of 2024 in this universe. It's a purely fictional reality. You work with an organization and you decide after 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years to go work elsewhere. And by work elsewhere, there is no employee type affiliation, purely placing your business under a different marketing umbrella.
Right, because
Do
you've been
you
an independent contractor this entire time, right?
correct? The word
Right. Okay.
work for is always a misnomer in what we do. Hired by, inaccurate, but you're affiliated with said organization in this mirror fictional universe that is not this universe.
Nope.
And the prior organization that you were such affiliated with, it's now marketing your book of business as a new lead type. How do you
Oh,
feel about that?
so not actual orphan leads, because you're still their agent because you didn't like stop being a licensed agent. You're just moving your contract somewhere else.
Correct. Maybe you're doing Medicare. Maybe you're doing property and casualty. But you were affiliated with this organization. You have book of business that was sold through that channel of distribution. But now that book of business is being marketed as a lead to new agents.
All right. So to help us talk about this, let's name this organization ABC organization. ABC marketing. AB
ABC.
ABC. Yeah. ABC marketing. You
Yes.
used to get your contracts through ABC marketing, and now you've moved your contracts to XYZ marketing. And ABC marketing has started selling your clients' names to other agents contracted through ABC marketing, as leads that people, even though you are still their contracted agent of record on these policies. That's bad.
That's effed up.
That is super bad, like crazy bad, insanely bad.
Morally
Not even
bad.
they're just reselling the leads that they sold you once upon a time, which on its own, not great. And that happens all the time, guys. Like all the time. Um, I would be I know, Chris, you have always been an advocate for, your IMO should get you your leads. I have
Mhm.
always been an advocate for the opposite for this exact reason. How much do you really trust your IMO to not then turn around and resell your leads on you? But that being said, boy, it would make me mad It would make me so mad if I found out that my IMO was doing something like this.
Your
If
prior
I
prior, you broke up, you divorced. Don't you're
My
not there.
former, yeah. Yeah, if
Yeah.
I found out that an IMO that I was working with, even if I was still with them and I knew that they were doing this to somebody else, boy, would I be mad. I am glad that the places that I put my contracts through are places that I trust. Um, but that trust did not come easily, and it's probably pretty easy to break. Whew. Um,
Now, I don't have a problem. Let's kind of expand on this one. I don't have a problem if, say, I had an agent in my downline, kind of a weird word, I still think,
yeah, don't
in
like it.
my sub agency,
Hmm.
that I know that this agent is no longer in the business
Hmm.
and one of their clients is in my geographic area. And what are their and they fall off the books. Maybe they need to be revisited. Maybe is this purely an orphaned type situation?
Sure.
I don't have any problem visiting that person, but wholesale burning down somebody's book of business just because they're not affiliated with me anymore seems a little bit vindictive.
Vindictive to say the least. Um, I question the legality of it. Um, and unfortunately, like it would be the type of thing that is illegal and extremely hard to prove, unless unless ABC marketing organization went around like sending out mass emails saying that they were going to be doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It would be extremely hard to prove that they were doing this to you. But yeah, it's that's a BS type of move right there. I don't no sir, don't like it.
Now, aren't there enough seniors in our marketplace and the final expense, senior market, final expense, that age group to have plenty of people to market to without having to remarket people already sold by an active and licensed agent?
I mean, sure, you've got essentially like every baby boomer, right? All of them at this point. There is nobody who does not count as a baby boomer who is not part of our demographic because I'm almost 100% positive all the baby boomers are over 55 now. Um, and like 10,000 a day are still turning 65 for a while still, like many years to come.
There's plenty of people.
Uh, Largest generation in many a year. And hey, the prior generation to that, they're still around and kicking. You can still sell life insurance to people in their like 75 to 80. Heck, sometimes you might even be able to sell a policy to somebody who's over 80. Um, I mean, I wouldn't want to try, like I have, but that's not an ideal prospect, right? But but yeah, people 65 to 79, there's so many
Plenty of
millions of
them.
them.
Plenty of them
So many millions of them. There are more of them
than us.
than there are people younger than that.
I got another one for you.
Yeah.
An effed up thing that an organization could do in this mirror alternate universe that is not this universe for all legal terms today, um, using their agent as a profit center in a sense that they are selling tickets to an agency event. Like if you're going to attend the 2024 kickoff convention, you have to pay hundreds of dollars to attend said convention.
Oh my god, is somebody actually doing that?
Nick, I saw on a Facebook group today, and I nearly commented, which would have caused me to be removed from the group as a spy. I have a friend that only has $50, but would like to attend the kickoff convention. Can somebody sell him a ticket for only $50 to this convention?
Holy cow, guys. What are you doing? Why are you working with these organizations? Oh my god, I didn't know about that one. That one has legitimately taken me by surprise.
Have you ever paid a fee to attend an event with your organization?
With the organization that I'm working with? No. That's part of their value add. That's part of why I work with them. That's
Uh,
that's one of the reasons why I would choose to work with them.
it's purely effed up.
Why are you doing this? Oh my god.
Do they not realize they have profit centered you as in a whole nother bucket of income by doing so. Like, duh.
So agents need to stop thinking of themselves as employees. You are not an employee of your IMO. You are not an employee of your FMO if what your IMO calls itself is an FMO. You're not, for the most part, an employee of an agency. If you are not receiving a salary, you're not getting health insurance, you're not getting a 401k, ideally a matched 401k, and you're not having taxes withheld from your paycheck, you are not an employee. It's actually that last one that's really the only one that actually matters for definition purposes. But come on, guys. Like, don't don't take an independent contractor position and then treat yourself like an employee.
See, like,
Every employer is going to try to get independent contractors to act like employees. I don't blame the employer. That's just what employers do. But
but
you have to be better than that.
but all the employers I've ever done training for, I used to do corporate CPR training. The employees didn't have to pay a fee, a fare, or buy a ticket to come to my class. That was part of their employee package, part of
Yeah.
their training, part of their culture. Like, I taught a CPR class for Subaru in Camden, New Jersey once. Coolest thing I ever did. No, not really, but one of the coolest, because this was an event that Subaru flew their employees into their corporate office from all over the country. Like, literally people there from Hawaii. And I thought to myself, they've come all the way to from Hawaii just to see me. Not true, but that's what I told myself.
Right.
Guess what? Subaru didn't charge them admission to come to CPR class.
No. Why would they?
Hell.
They're 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 bringing you to these events so that they can make more money off of you when you sell products for them. They're trying to make you better so that you can sell more for them. And then they're charging you for the privilege. Oh my God.
I still will never be able to make sense of that, and how
Oh,
someone
wow.
cannot think to themselves, I'm a source of profit for someone who profits off of my production anyway. At what point is there a line in that conversation? Um, what other effed up things can you think of on the spot here that organizations in this mythical universe that is not this universe for all legal purposes today have ever possibly done?
I'm gonna take. I need a minute.
You're still blown
I'm
away.
still
Still
reeling.
blown away.
Yeah, like there's all sorts of stuff, right? Like it sucks that a company would hold your contracts, right? And not allow you to move your contracts when you were unhappy continuing to work with them. It's terrible that the industry allows that. I kind of understand it being allowed because there's financial risk, and like the theoretically the entire reason why IMOs exist is to protect the insurance company from financial risk. I get it a little bit, but like
Well, let's take that one for a second, because I think that one I might be called hypocritical on for recording the video if I don't unpack the statement.
sure,
Let's just say in this hypothetical universe, you and I work together. I have
okay,
hired you, incorrect term again. You're working with me, and
sure.
all of a sudden, something goes wrong. But the something that went wrong has been addressed, it's been fixed. It wasn't anything criminal or crazy, it was a correctable problem. And you have chosen to refuse to converse with me, talk about it, have a discussion, act as if you're older than the age of 17. But you still want to move and leave carrier liability, lead liability, burn your book liability. And all someone's asking for is an adult conversation to discuss what really is the problem, because the problem you're telling me has already been fixed.
I mean, are you going to prevent somebody from moving their contracts over them not wanting to talk to you?
I'm just saying, I think that we in this industry should hold ourselves to a more mature standard and say,
Sure.
if that's really the decision that you've reached, let's have a discussion as such
I
about that. And then we can decide at that point what the
I
results are.
would I would hope that all of the agents that work with me, if ever they decided they wanted to work somewhere else, and some of them have, like not every situation's a good fit for every person, and there are things that I am able to offer that other people don't, and there are things that I'm not able to offer that other people do, right? Um, I have never had an agent who was not willing to at least sit down and have a conversation about like an exit interview type of a conversation.
There you go.
One would hope that everybody would be mature enough to um to have that conversation. Um all sides, coming from me, coming from the agent, coming from whoever. One would hope that that conversation would be able to be had without any hard feelings. Um, but I would not hold somebody's contracts up over that. I also wouldn't say, hey, of course I grant releases, lose the paperwork 6 or 7 times, and then 1 hour before the blackout window for Medicare enrollments, for Medicare contract moves, grant the release at like 11:05 on the Friday when the window closes at midnight.
Ooh.
I wouldn't do that either. And yep, I've had that one happen to an agent that wanted to come work for me. Um, they may or may not have been working for ABC Marketing, in fact, but um, but yeah, I wouldn't do that sort of thing.
Got another one for you. I'll preface that or close up that comment by saying I think we should all be more mature in this industry, have conversations with each other. We don't get to the benefit, the pure benefit of going to an office or seeing each other in human reality very often. If we're really at odds over something, let's at least be adults enough to talk about it, see what the issue is, be honest with each other, attempt to resolve it. Like all things you'd have to do if this was real life anyway. Like in many cases, you're texting, you're chat. It doesn't seem real. So
Yeah.
to be angry you get the point.
Yeah.
Next one for you. Effed up things IMOs may, can, have, will do. Discourage you from getting involved in the health side of the business, Medicare, for example.
Yeah, and man, I get where they're coming from. I you have to so let me start over. I am a believer that people should probably, under almost all circumstances, not try to have all of their contracts under a single IMO when it comes to all the different lines of business. So, if you are a final expense agent, you should probably have all of your final expense contracts under an IMO that specializes in final expense, so you can leverage the value of having all of your contracts with one IMO. They'll usually give you extras. But most organizations are really only good at one thing. Maybe they're good at 2 things, but usually only one.
I'd say a few are competent at 2 things, but not many.
Yeah. Very rarely are they good at 3 things. And the 2 things are usually, if they're good at more than one thing, they're usually complementary things. So, and maybe not intuitively complementary. Like maybe they're good at whole life and term life, which is, as an agent, not actually complementary, but from an agency side makes sense. Maybe they're good at Medicare and ACA, or they're good at group health and individual health. When you start getting with organizations that are like, hey, we're going to be your annuity shop, and we're going to help you get your 65 and open up an IRA, and you're going to RIA, not IRA. We're going to help you open up, become an and we'll be your broker dealer, and we're going to help you get P&C contracts, and we're going to help you get your Medicare going through us, and we're going to help you get your life insurance, and you're going to do term life, and you're going to do whole life, and you're going to do IULs, and you're
A lot of stuff.
that they're not good at that. Like all of those things require specific skills. And unless you come to that organization with those skills already in place, you're not going to learn them at that organization. So you should probably go to individual places where you can learn those skills if what you feel like you need to do is sell PNC and IULs and final expense and term life and Medicare and ACA.
Forget a
And
hobby and do less things. Good God.
right,
Like at
right,
some point, there's only 18 waking hours in a day.
right. But if
Good
you feel
Lord.
like you need to do all of that, you should be going to different places to do that. right? You should not be trying to put everything under one roof because there's nobody who can do that successfully.
I do think the senior market can be done successfully under one roof, but I
I
think
think
that in many cases, senior market-based organizations discourage, don't teach, de-emphasize Medicare because of override. Could that be one of the reasons?
well, I don't know. I think they discourage Medicare because the overrides can be pretty okay on the Medicare side.
But
I
not to like
think
that
they
mid-level Susie who recruited Sally kind of
yeah.
thing, you know?
Yeah, but I think that Medicare gets discouraged in those places because if you are a final expense organization, you want your agents selling final expense. That's probably where your profit center is. And that's
Which
what you can
speaks to the
teach
event.
them. And you want them focused on the one thing that's doing the best for your organization. I don't blame businesses for operating like businesses. That's a smart business decision. I don't think that's really a messed up thing as much as it is a thing that as somebody who's not in that business, you're the agent, you're your own business, you're working with them. You don't have the same interests as ABC Marketing. You have Chris Smith's interests. Your interests are maybe occasionally aligned, but they are not the same. And you need to be aware of that. ABC Marketing wants you to sell final expense because that's how ABC Marketing makes its money and it's how they can support you the best. ABC Marketing does not want you to sell Medicare because it might distract you from selling final expense. And you will sell less final expense because instead of putting everything you have into every home to make sure you get a final expense sale, maybe you'll go into that home and the final expense sale doesn't seem like it's going to be particularly easy. So you pivot and you make a Medicare sale instead. And then they make less money.
Yeah.
And I think that is in Chris Smith's best interest to be able to do that, but it's not an ABC Marketing organization's best interest to have Chris Smith do that.
But I think in 2024, maybe even heck 2022, in an industry with leads that are twice the price of when we started, saturation to the point where everyone's got something, where the captive side, I feel, especially regionally, is less aggressive than it used to be. I think having a well diversified producer is good for the agency who has that as their business model, because most pure final expense or life only agencies are really so focused in the churn and burn side of what we do, are focused in the sell it or replace. Like, they're not thinking past survival mode. I think they're not thinking past, does Nick really want to be banging doors 15 years from now? They're thinking Nick's not going to be here 15 years from now. Who gives a flip?
I am struggling to think of any large organizations, that are good at both final expense and Medicare. Now, there are organizations that are not particularly large that are good at both.
Mhm.
There are mid-sized organizations that are good at both. But when you start
Large.
going up through the chain,
Yeah.
I am struggling to think of any large organizations. Definitely none of the big three IMOs.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really like they are either making most of their money on life insurance or they are making most of their money on Medicare, and the other is a afterthought.
Well said. Let's tackle in our hot topic today in our final 60 seconds which one of these, or maybe you want to take all of these on next time as we discussed effed up things agents do to their agency.
Okay.
I have a list. You can pick one, or maybe you
Sure.
can say, I'll take them all. Roll up debt. Man, that's effed up. Why would you do that? Like, pay your debt. Leave leads. Oh, those weren't mine. What are you talking about? I'm changing my credit card and taking no responsibility for the leads you've already purchased. Fraud. Well, I couldn't close it, so I just put down a fake bank account instead. Blame your upline when you haven't been to work in 6 months. Ghost them like a bad Tinder date. Do you want to take one of those or
I
potentially
I will I
all of
will
them?
say I just today purchased uh 14 leads, I think, in counties that I no longer work in. Um, because they were just sitting in my account, and I was like, well, leads are going up on the first of the month. I should just clear those out, and rather than just having them continue to sit there, I'll figure out something to do with them. I don't know. But I don't even work in those counties anymore. And so I now have 14 leads that I just spent $250 or something on. Yeah, so yeah. So you do the right thing, guys. If everybody kind of thought about, hey, if I was in the other person in this relationship's shoes, how would I feel about my behavior? If
Yeah.
everybody sort of thought that way, just periodically, not even all the time, just periodically, they would make decisions that are kinder.
More
Be
professional.
yeah, be a person who like enjoys being a person. Like just be kind. Like be a good person. Don't be a dick. I know I have a friend of mine
Don't
who
be a dick.
never who it's number one rule of the internet used to be don't be a dick. It isn't anymore and hasn't been for like 20 years. But
It's like be a flaming dick that
yeah.
just like throws dick stuff on people and then
Yeah.
makes you feel like you have a bigger dick because of it.
Yeah. Uh but I have a friend of mine who didn't ever want to have downline agents. And whose organization kind of talked him into, hey, we need some help training some people, and this guy's kind of local to you. We'll put him underneath of you. Let's see how this goes, and you'll make a little override. And they gave him like a 10% cut.
Mhm.
And it's something, and so my friend was like, okay, sure, what the heck. And he went out and he took this guy around and he trained him for like 6 months, and then this guy was kind of on his own for like a year. And at the end of that year, I guess he ran into some problems and just wrote like 30 or $40,000 of like e-apps on people he'd written previously with a different company. He wrote a bunch of clients with a whole bunch of different companies, and then he picked up a company that paid on issue,
Mm.
that had an electronic like DocuSign signature. He had all his client's information. He ran into some financial trouble. He
Ugh.
wrote a whole bunch of like $30,000 or $40,000 worth of instant pay on issue applications for people who he never actually talked to. And then the next day called and free looked 100% of them after he'd gotten paid, took his check, and then canceled all of his contracts with everybody and walked. And that's a felony, by the way.
Hmm.
Like it's actually several felonies. Um, and and when my friend contacted him, he was like, "Hey, dude, I just got $40,000 of roll up debt from you. What the heck?" He was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, why didn't you tell me that if I did this, it was gonna like fall on your lap? I wouldn't. I would have. I would have figured something else out. I thought I was just kind of getting one over on the insurance company.
That's a
Like,
dick
don't
move.
be a dick.
Yeah. People
Like
don't
the insurance
realize
company
that.
doesn't deserve it either. Nobody deserves it. Don't commit
No.
fraud. Like,
Dick.
don't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't
Like,
commit
have
felonies."
would you I think the best way to summarize that is the way you said it in the beginning, and everything you said is extremely valuable. Don't be a dick, but think to yourself, "Would I want this thing done to me in
Yeah.
return?" Like, probably not. No, stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. And if
Yeah.
you're really not sure, I did a training on this morning, like how easy or how hard doing the right thing can be sometimes. It purely can be. And how doing the wrong thing is a slippery slope. You don't realize the ramifications until you're already $40,000 into the wrong thing. If you're not sure, ask somebody.
Yeah.
Like, man, I just want to F someone up. Well, no, that's not who you're going to F up. They're not even going to be F'd up. And if that isn't going to F them up, but it's going to mess up that dude, just ask.
Yeah.
Like, you should trust some person with a pulse in this world enough that if you're not sure, they're going to say, yeah, go. No, 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 bad idea. That's
Right.
how I feel.
That is I think that is the way.
So we're going to tackle next week roll-up debt, leaving leads, fraud, blaming others for your own inadequacies, and ghosting like bad Tinder dates. Appreciate you guys watching, listening, following, liking, commenting. Freaking comment on the video. Like, come on. If you're watching at this point, you must like at least a little bit about what we said. Comment on the video. If you didn't like what we said, comment on the video why you didn't like it. Maybe you're the dick. That's okay. Subscribe to the channel. We're growing great numbers. These aren't fake overseas followers like some. These are great organic growth kind of numbers. So before you hit the X button, hit the follow, the like, the subscribe, and comment. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys next week.